you so much. I think before we start, we can do our individual prayers in our own little way. Silent. And culture has taken the first bold step to be the first person to face the media at a time when they have done some remarkable job, first to promote Destination Gambia, but also to go beyond that and you know, have some partnership agreements with some countries that have long been our friends, so that we can formalize this important issue of having young Gambians go to third countries to work in a formal environment that is properly regularized and scrutinized and monitored. We're extremely very happy with the cooperation that we have been receiving from the media all along, and I would like to assure you of government's commitment from now on that every week we want to do this kind of interface where we would like to have a minister or ministers come into a podium like this, face the media, talk to them, I mean, honestly, sincerely about government policies, government activities, things that we have done in the name of the Gambian people, what we have accomplished, indeed major challenges that we are facing and what we are doing to overcome those challenges. Today's press conference, we are joined by the Honorable Minister himself, Honorable Ahmad Ba, who is the Minister of Information and Culture.
Minister of Tourism.
Minister of Tourism and Culture. I like my information. We also have the Permanent Secretary at the same ministry. Next to the Permanent Secretary is the Director General of the GT Board, Gambia Tourism Board. Next to him is the Baba Sise? No, yes, Gambia Tourism and Hospitality Institute. That in fact proudly hosts us here. And next to that one is the Director of National Council for Arts and Culture, Mr. Baba Sise. And to my left is our Honorable Sister, Ami Bojan Sisoho, who is the Director of Press and Public Relations at the Office of the President. Importantly, this is one of the activities that she had been conducting over the past few months, every other 2 weeks or 1 week, interfacing with the media. But we want to upscale this to a higher level because the ministers are responsible for the policies, and the ministers should be comfortable enough to come and face the media and talk to them. This is an open government. We have nothing to hide. We know that governments, wherever they are, have their own individual challenges, and those challenges are nothing hidden. They are of public knowledge, and in the Gambia also we are facing those kind of situations, but when we face them, we are prepared to meet the people to know exactly what are being done to overcome those challenges. So we are happy that today, this first important meeting that we are having, you will hear from the Honorable Minister and his team about the grand strides that they have registered in the tourism and hospitality industry, but also what they are doing in promoting our culture. You will also hear some of the latest developments that they have just started. The achievement, especially in the tourism industry in the past 12 months, and what they are doing right now to capitalize on the gains made. On that note, my role here is to chair this meeting, but also to ensure that the media is comfortable enough to interface with the duty bearers, including the ministers and those that work under the ministers. And I would like to call on the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Tourism and Culture to brief you about the latest developments, particularly related to what the ministry has been doing in relation to tourism, but also culture and other dynamics within that sector. Thank you so much.
Honorable Minister, I am very much pleased this afternoon to be given a unique opportunity to read out this epoch-making document, which is the outcome of a successful mission that the ministry had just embarked on to the state or the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The other developments made by the industry would eventually be given by the respective directors of the GT board, GTHI, and the NCAC. The document, as you are all aware, was the basis of an official friendship and professional relationship between the tourism ministers of the two countries, that is Saudi Arabia and the Republic of the Gambia. So our gratitude goes to the ambassador, His Excellency Omar Jibril Salah, who is based in Riyadh, and of course his staff that had worked tirelessly in ensuring that the mission that we had just concluded was a success. The Tourism Ministry staff also were very much grateful to their contribution in ensuring that the preparations that took us to this mission were accomplished effectively. But of course, the biggest credit goes to our indefatigable and ever-progressive minister, Honorable Ahmad Ba, without whose foresight and penchant for progress, this mission wouldn't have been possible or fully accomplished. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will now proceed and read the Memorandum of Understanding between the two ministries. Memorandum of Understanding for Cooperation in the Field of Tourism and Culture between the Saudi Commission for Tourism and National Heritage of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Ministry of Tourism and Culture of the Republic of the Gambia. Whereas the Saudi Commission for Tourism and National Heritage of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Ministry of Tourism and Culture of the Republic of the Gambia, in support of friendship relations and tourism cooperation between the two countries and the role of tourism sector in connecting nations and desiring to support friendship and cooperation relations exchange in the field of tourism, recognizing the importance of tourism in developing the economy of the two countries, enrich the cultural and social part, and to activate cooperation in the field of tourism within the framework of the laws and regulations in force in both countries. The parties have agreed to the following. Article 1. The parties within their authorities shall coordinate and unify efforts to achieve sustainable tourism industry development in both countries, taking into account local traditions and social values. Article 2. The parties shall utilize cultural, urban, and historical heritage in both countries in support of tourism as key factors in economic development. Article 3. The parties shall exchange information and expertise in the following areas. 1. National laws relative to tourism development. 2. Operating tourism accommodation facilities and activating monitoring procedures. 3. Part-time, seasonal, and voluntary jobs at tourism facilities. 4. Tourism education, academic accreditation, and training in both countries. 5. Developing vocational standards and training portfolios for different tourism occupations. 6. Tourism data and statistics. 7. Organizing tourism events and activities. 8. Tourism development, planning, and investment. 9. Licensing, operating, and marketing tourism facilities, and any other field agreed upon by both parties. Article 4. The parties shall support the exchange of visitations between tourism experts and media representatives. Article 5, the parties shall introduce potential tourism opportunities in both countries, promote mutual tourism investment in tourism projects, management contracts, and tourism services. Article 6, the parties shall support the organization of joint tourism events and festivals, participate in exhibitions, conferences, and seminars held in both countries in support of tourism development and crystallizing a joint tourism vision. Article 7, the parties shall exchange experts, facilitate researchers' tasks, and encourage them to conduct joint research specialized in tourism. Article 8, the parties shall cooperate and coordinate in international forums and organizations concerned with tourism affairs in accordance with applicable laws in both countries and the international conventions which both countries are part of. Article 9, any conflict arising from the interpretation, application, or execution of this Memorandum of Understanding shall be amicably resolved through negotiations and mutual communication. With those few remarks, I conclude the presentation of the Memorandum of Understanding. We have just concluded the discussions in Saudi Arabia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ministers, the Press Secretary, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Tourism and Culture, my colleague, Director Generals, staffs of both institutions and the ministries, as well as the media houses. Assalamu alaikum. Just give a quick rundown on so far what we have been doing and the results thereof for the period that we are discussing. Honorable Ministers, 2018 tourist season has so far registered 57 flights per week, which has an early start compared to the previous years. So we are very hopeful that this year we'll have a very long season, longer than the usual 6-monthly season. We may have 7 to 8 months of tourist season. This figure, if you look at comparative analysis to the previous year, where we had registered 50 flights, unfortunately, because of the political impasse, it was downscaled. Most flights, tour operators canceled, and we were only left with 35 flights per week. A year earlier, now we are registering 57 flights per week, which is a record high for this country. We've never had that before. And a quick rundown of these flight operations. We have Thomas Cook, Holland, will be flying to destination Banjul twice a week, destination Gambia twice a week, as a direct charter flight with 180 seats to Banjul. And they're also considering flying during the summer. And we all know this industry has been on a seasonality. Now we are beginning to see that tour operators are interested to fly during the summer. So there's a strong indication that Thomas Cook Holland will be flying the summer of this year. Destination Gambia has also registered the first direct flight of 3 times a month, direct from Russia, with 350 packs. There's 350 tourists will come every 11 days directly from Russia. This has never happened since the Gambia began to experience what we call tourism, which is also very highly commendable and a big achievement for destinations in Gambia. TUI Poland will also start flying a year-round operations during the summer months of 2018 with a proposed strong lead of 180 seat capacity flight, beginning also of this year. Currently, the UK market this year has registered 12 flights weekly, 9 of which is Thomas Cook, and the other 3 is Gambia Experience. Thomas Cook Scandinavia has increased its flight capacity from a load factor of 9,000 packs to 17,000 for 2018-2019 seasons. And the Dutch market will also operate 11 flights a week. So we have over around 57 flights per week this year. And we are yet to confirm some potential tour operator who may fly destinations Gambia this year, inshallah. When we're looking at the total arrivals, the highest was in 2013, where the destination had 172,000 arrivals. This is the highest record of number of tourism arrivals in destinations in Gambia. 2017-2018 so far, if we do a monthly comparative analysis, we can see that as at end of September 2018, we have registered 131,601 arrivals as compared to 99,570 arrivals in the previous year, 2016-2017. It is now, therefore, by all indications, that by the end of December 2018, we will surpass the 200,000 arrivals for tourism in the Gambia, which will now be the record high for destinations Gambia. From 2013, the record had been broken, and we are now perceived to be 200,000+ arrivals for 2017-2018. You see, we have been working really hard in terms of attracting new markets and also while maintaining the existing market. So far for this year, and I'm pleased to inform you that TUI Belgium charter flight will start flying back to destinations to Gambia after they have been away for 16 years. They are now coming back. The destination has also registered, as I alluded to earlier, direct flight from Russia and also another direct flight from Poland, operated by the FTI new group, which are new incomers into destinations Gambia. So Rainbow Tour is back directly from Poland, and they'll be operating a flight into destinations Gambia, which is also highly commendable. They've been away since 2013, so they are back in 2017-18. The FTI Touristica has resumed flights into destination Gambia since 20 years ago. They stopped their operations. This year, they are back. They are back with 2 flights so far during winter, 1 direct from Poland, 1 from Russia. But by April, the summer, the group will be operating 4 direct flights from German-speaking countries, like Munich, for the cities like Munich, Frankfurt, Leipzig, and Düsseldorf. This is the time that we need this flight. And it's during the summer when we have perceived at the time that tourism now is 6 monthly. It is no longer a 6-month period. From April, FTI will be flying right now confirmed for 4 flights per week. They may increase to 7 flights, depending on hotel bed capacity. So in that case, now we can say the destination Gambia is no longer a seasonality, but all year round tourism, which is highly commendable and an achievement from the Ministry of Tourism and Culture and the new government led by His Excellency President Adama Barrow. We highly commend them for their support. In addition, Turkish Airlines will be flying 2 flights a week from Istanbul to Banjul. And this is a new entrance into destinations Gambia. And they are coming with a flight configuration that we anticipate will be beyond the 180 packs on a flight basis. There is also a daily flight from Nigeria by Air Sky, to Banjul, Ghana, and there is also 4 times a week by Air Peace. So we can see now it's not only other markets, but the regional market has also picked up. Daily flight for Air Sky and 4 flights a week by Air Peace is a good indication that the regional market is also coming up. So Destination Gambia is now definitely poised to grow. Brussels Airlines, as you already know, have increased their frequency to 7 flights on a daily flight. 3 of these flights are now direct to Banjul. Before you go to Dakar, Banjul, but 3 out of the 7 flights now is 3 direct to Banjul before Dakar. So instead of 5 flights a week, SM Brussels now is a daily flight from Banjul, Brussels, Banjul, Dakar, on a daily basis. And yes. So this is all coupled with the coming of our new marketing strategy. When the new government came and we have a minister who understands the dynamics of tourism, he said we must change the dynamics. And we changing the dynamics means results are now coming in. So far, so good. We have now appointed what we call destinations manager. Before the destinations, we know what we call PR farms. We used to employ PR farm in various source markets. It's no longer PR farm, but these are destination managers, Gambian-owned citizens, managing the affairs of Gambia in those source markets. We have now so far appointed 4 destination managers for UK, Spain, Saudi Arabia, and Scandinavia. So these are own Gambian citizens domiciled in this country, managing the affairs of tourism, marketing, and promotions in this source market. But we have to expand. We have Russia to cover, because we have seen now there's a direct flight coming from Russia to Banjul, and then we need to cover that. China is also a big potential market for us, and we will inshallah cover. And Nigeria overseeing the other regional markets, we are now working to put in destination manager into all the source markets. This is also commendable because of the new strategy that has been employed with the coming of a new minister and the coming of a new government. We thank you very much for your efforts. We know the management is, management's biggest tool is research and development. Before, we never had what we call research assistant in our border posts. These are very porous. We have a lot of people coming in country and a lot of people going out of the country, like as tourists, I mean. So we are no longer depending on air arrivals. We are looking into all the border posts that are within to ensure that we collect accurate and reliable data. And that being the case, we have now appointed what we call research assistants. And these research assistants will be in the border post along. So far, we have done 4, and then the rest will follow, like the borders of Jiboro, Sabi, Amdalai, and Soma. We'll have research assistants in these places working hand in hand with Gambia Revenue Authority as well as the Immigrations Department to collect data on the arrivals and departures from both these points. This will enhance not only in terms of arrival, because all these arrivals that we have discussed is based on air arrival, but would help us also to be able to support those are coming inland, the challenges they have along these borders, so that the Gambia Tourism Board, working with these stakeholders, will be able to address their travel challenges at any time, at any point in time. Along the strategy, we have also been working together in the development of new tourism products. And this we cannot do in isolation without looking into culture and heritage tourism. We're also looking into wellness tourism as well as sports tourism. These are niche products that we are developing to complement the product suite of destinations in Gambia. And we are very advanced through the strategy, which is also in line with the National Development Plan to make sure that it's an all-inclusive growth. When tourism is growing, it's not only subsectors of tourism that grow, but the entire value chain of tourism that needs to grow. And we are aware of that. That's why we are putting all tentacles to ensure that the development agenda vis-a-vis the National Development Plan is implemented to be an all-inclusive growth for the Gambian economy. And by that, I mean community-based tourism, rural tourism, heritage, culture, sport, all of it are within the development agenda. Before, we all know it's difficult to attract investments because investment is based on a conducive environment. It took long time, hard labor, and lots of money to attract one investment. Now, with the conducive environment that we have, as a result of good governance, transparency, and accountability, we no longer now solicit for investment. We have so far, so good, 35 projects that are being appraised by the Gambia Tourism Board with the support of the Board of Directors and the Ministry. And these 35 investments comprise both solicited and unsolicited investment. And what do I mean is before, to attract an investor to come and invest in one hotel requires a lot of time and effort. Why? Because the environment that support investment was not there. The government of His Excellency President Adam Barrow and the Airline Ministry have put in place robust policies, and we are now implementing that through a very conducive and enabling environment for investment. Out of the 35 projects that we have, so far 5 have shown serious and real commitment. And how? They have paid their required development levies, which is domiciled now in a bank account that will be solely and used for the development of tourism infrastructure. So the rest of the investors, we are very hopeful that we will soon come and will complete the cycle of the first 10 allocations for those investors to build 10 brand new hotels. And when I mean hotel, it's not hotel. Minimum 4-star hotel will require standard of international level. So there we are. And we have also been very active in community-based tourism. In the year under discussion, we have, with the support of our ministry, engaged the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, and they are willing to support the Gambia Tourism Board to go beyond the Greater Banjul area and establish what we call community-based tourism facilities, so that people, not only the incoming tourists, but Gambian as a whole, will experience our country. If you go to places like Kenya, 80 to 90% of their tourism is based on domestic tourism. If you come to the Gambia, it's the opposite. Most of us don't know even where Bara is. Some of us don't know where Soma is. The reason being, there are no facilities that support our travel and stay up country. We want to change those dynamics. We are going to start this year, establish 2 very good standard accommodation, so that when people go up country, they have places to see and they have things to do. So the Ministry of Finance, through our ministry, we want to thank them for coming to our aid. We are in agreement, and inshallah, we'll begin to implement that project very, very soon through a community-based project. And this, as I said, could not have happened without the support of central government, because we were been here before. There has been a lot of outcry to do community-based tourism, to improve up-country tourism. It was very slow, or it did not happen. Now it's happening. Thank you, Honorable Ministers, for the dynamic leadership of His Excellency the President and your foresight vision as ministers of His Excellency President Anwar. We want to thank you very much for your support. We're not only establishing, bringing the numbers. We are not only establishing the facilities. We want to upkeep of these facilities. So our quality department, enforcement and licensing, are actively engaging the tourism fraternity, the investors in tourism. To support them, we have come up with what we call the Tourism Classification and Standard Document, which was recently validated by the Honorable Minister of Tourism and Culture. The document now is being implemented. What the document will do is to ensure that the hotels that are being built are now beginning from ground zero to be based on an internationally acceptable standard. The hotels that are in existence, we will support them to match up the standard that is required for the industry. When you say there are no hotels in the Gambia, people don't quite understand what we say when there's a stop sale. There are hotels, but what we refer to is quality hotel beds. That's what the industry lacks. And we are working to address those challenges within the shortest possible time. So our quality directorate, the inspectorate unit, recently went up country. We have done our assessment. We have looked at all the tourism establishments up country. Some are within standard, majority are below standard. And we have given them time frame. For those that want to be licensed to operate this year, they must match the standard, the minimum requirement. If any of these establishments fail to meet this requirement, unfortunately, we will not be able to license them, because the onus is on us to ensure that quality assurance is established for anybody wanting to go up country and enjoy this facility. This we take very seriously, and we are really working very hard to ensure that it happens. And before I end, we all know the previous 2 years, the Ebola and the impasse has seriously impacted the arrivals of tourism. And not, if you say arrival, did include every single value chain of tourism was affected. Today, we as a board, we are proud to say that we are back and we are strong to ensure that the policy directives are implemented, because we were able to come forward with very prudent management style and bring the board back to its glory days. We are proud to announce to you that we, inshallah, we will be ready to implement this as they come. I would not end this briefing without thanking the board of the governing body. But I will start with His Excellency the President Adama Barrow, because for you to work independently, to have an independent mind based on the laws that govern institutions, was not an easy task. And this is something that we have achieved. Everything that we have achieved today is as a result of our independent minds working together within the laws that are govern our institutions, the support of the board of the governing bodies, with the ministry, the staff of the Gambia Tourism Board, including my humble self. Honorable Ministers, we want to say thank you very much for your support. And we want to end by saying, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum.
One thing that also strikes me most is that with the new hotels that are coming up and with the intensification of efforts to penetrate the rural tourism market, this will help Gambia and the Gambian people, especially the young people, to be employed in the tourism sector. We might see, a significant improvement, in the employment situation of this country. We might see a significant drop in terms of unskilled, labor, sector in this country, because most of the people who will be employed in the construction of these hotels, I'm sure, will be Gambians. Yeah. The drivers who will be there to drive tourists around will be Gambians. The market women who will be there to sell their produce will, of course, be Gambians. The people who will take tourists around, the tourist guides, especially the river cruise and all those things, I'm sure will be Gambians. So we continue to applaud you, Honorable Minister, and your sector for this remarkable improvement. But also this shows one thing, that when a country is peaceful, when we have a committed leadership, when we have a government that is committed to democratic principles, people will be encouraged to come to your country, not only to visit, but they will also invest. So I want to call on all Gambians to cherish the peace that we have in this country, to ensure that we commit ourselves to the democratic values, so that together this country will develop, young people will be employed, stay in this country, Gambians will continue to have confidence in their own economy, in their own country, and that they will stay here and we develop this country together. I think what we have had with tourism numbers and the statistics and the data that we have just had, I think this is something that we can all say that if we even work harder, we can surpass the 200,000, and we may have 500,000 within the next 5 years. This is doable, and we should all work towards it. And we now look, I believe that what I have heard, the tourism ministry would like to now localize even the payment systems, so that everything that we're supposed to get from tourism in terms of money, in terms of the training, capacity building, and other benefits will all stay within this country. So thank you so much, Director General of Gambia Tourism Board, Hydra. I now have the singular honor to invite the Director General of the Gambia Tourism and Hospitality Institute, Mr. Dauda Nyang, to tell us exactly what they are doing, because his institution is very important. If we want to have, a tourism that we want to be proud of, we need to have a skilled, a youthful population that will be employed in these hotels and also other value chain, areas within the tourism subsector. So his institute plays that significant role to ensure that young people are trained here. And Honorable Minister, I want to thank you because for the first time in the history of our country, as a cabinet, we are not going to any hotel to cater food there. The food that we eat in cabinet is all provided and also cooked by this institute.
I'm just going to go through quickly some of the achievements we have registered. Following the revision of our curriculum to international standards in tourism and hospitality, in partnership with the United Nations World Tourism Organization and the Youth Empowerment Project in 2017, we're happy to say that this month we have finalized the development of our teaching and learning materials for both certificate and diploma levels. My colleague, Mr. Haidara, talked about all these flights coming in. The Honorable Minister for Communication also talked about the important role training has to play if the destination is to grow inclusively. Without human capacity, I think it's going to be very difficult for any destination to grow, simply because our industry is a service-driven industry, and we need service excellence if we want to deliver the goods to our tourists. The other point that both myself, Mr. Haidara, and the chairman talk about is rural tourism. In a bid to decentralize tourism activities nationwide, for the first time in April 2018, the GTHI started a program in Janjanbureh targeting 60 young Gambians to be trained in the area of food and beverage and room division services. All these camps that are going to be put up in addition to the existing camps and lodges up country. If we don't have the right personnel, it's going to be a challenge. And GTHI is there, and we're hoping to consolidate on that one. In fact, they finished their final exams last month, and right now, as we speak, the 60 young people are doing their internship with the lodges in the Central River region. We're not stopping there. We will be complementing the efforts of the GT board. Wherever these new camps are going to be established, we will partner with them and make sure that, you know, the right opportunities are created for young Gambians. The other point that is so important to us is the research unit that we established for the first time in this institute. And this we did in partnership with the Gambia Hotel Association and the Gambia Chef Associations. We realized after doing a quick assessment that there is a need to improve the linkages between tourism and agriculture. Now, you cannot increase linkages if the recipes that we've had for the past 30, 40 years are the same. So we thought, you know, there was a need to partner with the chefs because they cook in the hoteliers, and then establish a research unit. That research unit is now functioning, and you know, work is really on progress. And by the end of this month, we will have our first results. We're hoping to develop 4 additional seafood dishes because, you know, normally in the hotels when you go is usually the big fish, the barracudas, the captain fish. But with this unit, we believe with the other types of fish that we have here, we should be able to develop new recipes that will increase linkages with the local economy. We're also thinking of, as part of the objectives of this research unit, to develop additional vegan and vegetarian dishes. I mean, it's only a few months ago that I learned myself that there's actually a difference between the vegan and vegetarian. For me, I thought it was the same. But with this research unit, I learned that they're not the same. In fact, they're quite different. But by using local ingredients, we can have additional dishes for vegan and vegetarians. Goat meat. I learned with this research unit that goat meat is more healthy than lamb and beef, and it's absent in our hotels. And we have plenty of goats. We warn the chefs that we're not asking you to go around killing all the goats in this country, but goat meat is something that is so healthy. And then we think with the research unit, we can have it more in our hotels and restaurants. And it's not just meant for tourists. I mean international tourists. It's also meant for also local people. We will do the same thing with juices, because you know when you go to our hotels, when you ask for local juices, it's usually baobab or wonjo. Now I learned from this research unit that we can have local juices from vegetables, from other fruits, from seeds. These are all new innovations that we're hoping to get out there so that we can improve the linkages with the local economy. Following the signing of the bilateral cooperation between the Gambia and Senegal during the Presidential Council meeting held in Banjul in March 2018, the GTHI signed a memorandum of agreement with our sister school in Dakar. And as a result, we benefited from a pastry expert from Dakar who was here in July for 20 days, trained 20 people. These participants included staff of our school as well as from the hotels. We have a very good partnership with the Hotel Association because, you know, we have to work together. And, you know, every program we have, you know, we do it in collaboration. And in addition to that pastry chef coming here for 20 days, through this bilateral and the support of the Senegal-Gambia Secretariat and the Senegalese Embassy here in Banjul, I mean, 8 other Gambians were in Dakar. They just returned 2 weeks ago for 30 days to undergo some internship and also to see how best they're using local ingredients in their recipes. We think this is something very important because tourism is a very cross-cutting sector, and then we should make sure we create the opportunities for the right linkages. Finally, the one initiative I would briefly like to talk about is something new, because what we're getting from the Gambia Hotel Association and from the GT board is the additional hotels like next 2 years, 3 years. And they're saying where we have the gap in the Gambia here is at middle management level. We don't have enough Gambians there. Now, we're not xenophobic, but we're saying if there's a gap there, they should be filled, these gaps, and the GTHI has a big role to play in that. And we decided from this year, our best students at certificate level, they will be given scholarships. And we have already, by the GTHI, and we have already identified hotels that we will work with them to be coaching them and mentoring them to do 3 days in the hotels, 2 days at the school, to finish the diploma, and then if they do well, we will continue supporting them to advance the diploma level, and why not to a degree. And we're hoping that in the next 3 years we should be able to fix that gap in middle management. On that note, I'd like to thank everybody, particularly our Line Ministry, the Ministry of Tourism and Culture, and the Gambian in general. And a special thank you to Mr. John. I talk about the work-based learning we will be doing with our brightest students. We will be doing that program with PERM from Holland, and we have just concluded a draft, and it's soon going to be finalized, and they will be supporting us all the way. Thank you.
I mean, I only look forward to some of these things, you know, seeing them on our TV stations, and this is a great opportunity now for our, you know, local television stations to really showcase some of these things, because everybody loves food, everybody loves their local juices, but how to make them sometimes is the problem. Now, I mean, most of the time, I mean, in certain countries, I mean, shows on food are the most watched, because everybody wants to know how to cook something, you know, rather than depending on others to cook for you. So I think, you know, this is a great opportunity. Our tourism, I mean, industry, I think, is on the right course. I mean, they are doing the right things. I mean, training and capacity building, you know, I mean, they are one of the most fundamentals if you want to maintain a sustained growth in any industry. And the fact that you have set up a research department in the I mean, Hospitality Institute, not only to train people, but to research on the various foods, the capacity needs of these hotels, and also these tourism facilities, I think is the right step in the right direction. As a government, we will continue to support the Honorable Minister in Cabinet, I mean, to ensure that this sector continue to grow for the benefit of the Gambian people. The last speaker on the high table here is the Director General of the National Council for Arts and Culture, Mr. Baba Sise, who will talk to you about issues pertaining to his sector, because we all know that culture and tourism always work to, you know, go together. If we want to have a continuous growth in our tourism, we should also see certain things grow in our, I mean, arts and culture, I mean, section. We want to see our facilities that tourists want to go to maintain and of high quality. We don't only want to take them to the Jufres and also the Barras and the Kachikalis, but I'm sure there are other important places. The fact that they are doing research on the historical sites and what other people have done. I mean, my ministry will continue, you know, we have discussed this at our level, that we will work with them to, you know, explore the opportunities of what we call digital tourism in this country, where, I mean, everything will be on platforms for people to know exactly what are the, I mean, historical sites in this country, what they expect to see, so that that will entice them more. When you want to research on coming to Gambia, you don't only want to just go to the beaches and the hotels. You want to go to some of these places in the rural areas to, I mean, also experience the wonderful culture that we have in this country. Digitally, this is possible, and then we will work with them on some of those things. Thank you so much, Mr. Sise. Then the floor is yours to tell us how far you have gone in terms of implementation of activities within your sector.
With the permission of my indefatigable Minister, Honorable Ahmed Ba, and my able Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Kodu Jabang Senghor. I greet you, Mrs. Bojang Sisaho, the Director of Press and Public Relations at the Office of the President, my fellow Director Generals of the Ministry's satellite institutions, staff of the satellite institutions of the Ministry, and of course, our invitees, members of the press. I am very happy with this opportunity to shed light on the programs and activities of the NCAC in the more recent times. But as this gathering seems to have a slant on tourism, I would like to start by saying that the development of the cultural sector is factored in the NDP through the strategic objective of promoting an inclusive culture-centered tourism for sustainable growth. This calls for, among other things, investment in tourist attractions and the craft industries, sites and museums, the creative and performing arts, and as well as cultural infrastructure. When it comes to heritage sites and museums, I'm sure you know that these are important as they are the material manifestations of our Gambianness or our Gambian heritage, and are important for the education of the youth as well as for visitation by tourists. Unfortunately, most of our heritage sites are very vulnerable because of age, because of the age factor and their susceptibility to natural deterioration processes. Therefore, with the coming into power of this new government, considerable investment has been made in the refurbishment of museums and the conservation of heritage sites. I can gladly say that for the first time, the NCAC has been privileged with the allocation of funds from the development budget to invest in these areas. Like Honorable Minister Silla said, the relationship between culture and tourism is symbiotic. As a result, our more financially endowed partner, the GT board, has therefore been cooperating with the NCAC in the development of local tourist destinations whose attractions are mainly heritage-based. This is the case with the Albreda Jufure revamp project, which aims to revalorize the roots destination using sustainable development principles to empower local communities, to make a dignified existence from the influx of tourists and the heritage resources at their disposal. Janjanbureh has also received a similar boost with the construction of a Kankurang Center, and more recently through the YEP program, the training of youths to serve as guides, tourist guides, and the development of information panels and promotional material for the island destination. Perhaps I should have started with one of our biggest achievements in the more recent times, which is the issue of developing a new cultural policy. Because policy actually provides the foundation for development. As many of you may know, the old cultural policy dates back to 1988. That's almost 3 decades. So when the new government came, we thought it fitting that its review and update was really considered necessary as a starting point for the cultural development agenda. With support from UNESCO, we spent more than a year developing a new arts and culture policy that is more responsive to present-day realities. The time it has taken to develop this policy in itself is a reflection of the protracted consultation process involved. Consultations were held with stakeholders at the grassroots level and culminating in a national working forum that brought together representatives of the various interest groups, including artist associations, heritage custodians, regional and local authorities, civil society, government institutions, academia, and the diverse ethnic groups of the country. I'm proud to say that the policy document is now ready for adoption by government, and once adopted, the NCAC will be applied to develop a strategic plan for achieving its objectives. Another area that is of interest to many young people is the issue of copyright. We all know that the copyright law that subsists was passed in 2004, and NCAC was charged with its administration. However, the NCAC was never provided with resources for the proper administration of the act and had to make use of its existing meager resources to make incremental gains. The World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO, and the African Regional Intellectual Property Organization, ARIPO, and even ECOWAS have nevertheless been very supportive in the area of capacity building and exchange of experiences with regard to copyright. A major headway was made with the coming into power of the new government in the signing of the copyright regulations. This is the main instrument that allows the collection and distribution of royalties to artists and creators to begin. Government has not lost sight of the fact that an effective copyright regime is an avenue for job creation and self-employment, especially for the growing number of youths who work in the creative industries, including music, film, theater, and the fine arts. I then go on to the issue of cultural infrastructure. I would like to remind you that many have lamented the lack of a national theater and things like that. But I would like to remind you that the building of infrastructure is expensive. In developing countries, such investments must be weighed against the other competing needs of access to healthcare, education, food self-sufficiency, and agriculture. Nevertheless, the construction of a multi-purpose cultural center, theater complex, the establishment of an art school, School of Arts, and the construction of a purpose-built museum have been made a development priority for assistance. In some cases, architectural designs and drawings have been completed, whilst in others, the guiding concepts are being developed. Where drawings and plans have been completed, such as in the case of the National Theatre Complex, the projects have been submitted to the Chinese and Saudi governments for possible funding. Then I will go on to the issue of training, at least for the cultural sector, for the NCAC and the cultural sector in general. In the absence of a specialized school of arts, which has been the lament of the artistic community, the NCAC continues to mobilize resources, especially through UNESCO, to run short-term training programs. The recently, I think we completed again, just about over a year ago, the Impact Motion Picture Arts Certificate Program, which focused on training for filmmaking, was a commendable pilot program that trained 25 youths in the entire film production process. I'm glad to say that the trainees are now able to provide backup for foreign film crews who no longer need to come with technical crews. The Impact trainees have also been able to produce their own Gambian films, which have been presented at international film festivals. This program is soon to be followed by an entrepreneurship training in the creative industries. Again, this is supported by UNESCO, and the objective here is to train 25 young people in the business of making money in the creative industries. Ultimately, 5 business plans generated as part of the training will be provided with financial resources to kickstart some small and medium-sized businesses. Nevertheless, the establishment of an art school, which the minister is always drumming in my ears, such as in the École des Beaux-Arts in Senegal, is in the making, still in the conceptualization stage. With regard to bilateral cultural cooperation agreements, so far agreements have been signed with Senegal, Egypt, and China. These agreements call for, amongst other things, the establishment of cultural exchange programs, participation at festivals organized by the countries, and the learning of best practice and training support in various spheres of the arts and cultural heritage. I hope I'm not talking too long. And then I must be taking too long. I must come to a very unrealized gem that we have at the NCAC. This is our oral history archive, archive of oral traditions and histories. This is one of the most extensive, comprehensive oral collections in the sub-region, and in the Senegambia in particular. And when I talk of Senegambia, I'm referring to the greatest, it's not just Senegal and Gambia. It extends into Guinea-Bissau and the like. This archive, which started in the mid-70s, is an invaluable collection of histories and oral traditions of this whole area. It is particularly strong on the empire of Kabu, the successor to the Mali Empire. The scholars come here for their research, and many books have been published based on the resources at this archive. In fact, I can proudly say that the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Tangara's thesis, was mostly researched from this archive. Again, due to its age, the collection of tape recordings, real tapes of a bygone era have always posed a challenge in terms of conservation and the migration of data to new media to make it usable with new equipment. You know, some of these real tapes, you know, these things no longer exist. So the National Digital Collection Project embarked on in the last 2 years with the University of Hamburg aims to address these last two challenges. The primary aim is to provide and facilitate access to the audio-visual collections through digitization and host it securely in the Gambia with backups available elsewhere. Currently, a proposal to extend this project for another 3 years and make the collection available in the internet is in the offing. And finally, if I could say, I must also say the new government inherited an NCAC that was very poorly staffed, especially in the upper cadre. This placed the senior management in a very difficult position. The NCAC has therefore received a massive boost to its subvention to enable the institution to embark on staff recruitment exercise, which is informed by an institutional assessment and staff audit. I don't want to bore you because it seems many of the things that have to do with culture it may sound boring, but to us it is not. We are indeed very enthusiastic and we continue to do our best to manage this cultural heritage, which essentially forms our identity. These are the things that make us who we are as Gambian. The mandate is basically to preserve, promote, and develop Gambian arts and culture. This is very demanding of human, material, and financial resources. And success in this area is not easily visible and cannot be measured in monetary terms. At the heart of this responsibility is the task of reinforcing our Gambian heritage and identity, whether it is tangible or intangible. I rest my discourse. Thank you.
Actually, one takeaway that actually I think, we can all proudly say, and associate ourselves with from this press conference is the kind of policy synergy that we are seeing. How tourism is being linked to the development of our identity through culture and arts. How tourism is actually being used to link to the development of our agriculture, so that when women, go to their gardens and their furrows and their farm and they produce something, at least a market is available for them so that they can sell this thing. But not only sell, people can be trained to, use them as recipes in our foods. And also, we have seen how tourism is also, being used to link to critical areas of maintaining peace and security in this country, maintaining, issues that will enhance economic development. We have all seen the chaotic policy environment that characterize our country and the implementation of issues in this country in the last 23 years. On doing some of those things alone will take a lot of time, and we are very happy that ministries and officials at these ministries are working very hard to take a quick grip of their respective areas. It may not necessarily be seen by a lot of people, tangibly, because when you're implementing a policy or you're drafting a policy, you're coming up with a policy, people don't see those things, tangibly until you start implementing them. And the fact that we are now seeing these things being, put together and being implemented, I think we will see the dividend, being actually rolled out across the country. And honestly, as the minister responsible for information, we have at Radio Gambia one of the best places to get whatever you want about the oral history of this country. From 1957 to now, all the princesses, the prince, the presidents, the parliamentary speeches, whatever was said in this country publicly and recorded, they are still there. Radio Gambia has one of the best archives in West Africa. I mean, we know that the National Library of the UK was collaborating with the National Council of Art and Culture to digitize some of those things. The process is ongoing, but we will escalate this so that we don't lose the vital part of our culture. You will be surprised to know that all the speeches at the National Assembly that were ever done by any opposition or political party leader in this country are all recorded and are at the Radio Gambia. Anything that was ever said by any president from 1965 to now, all the speeches by the colonial governors and also the commissioners, they are all recorded and they are intact at Radio Gambia. I think, this is something that the national, and that is why we say we want to work with you to digitize some of these things. This will also, accelerate the efforts to advance and also improve our destination in terms of what we offer. Also, working with you to digitize these things will only help you as a sector, as a department to promote the Gambia effectively and our culture. The schools will benefit with the kind of infrastructural development that we are seeing in the arts and culture sector. But also, one thing I think, Honorable, which to me is critically important, is the copyright law. We have this creative industry. That is underexploited in this country. All these young musicians and also all these, young artists and fine artists that are in this country, but they are having this colossal problem, related to, copyright abuses. And, the fact that you now have a law and we are prepared to work with you to implement it. We have, worked with the ministry, and then, we want to make this thing known that when we start implementing some of these things, all the radio stations in this country that are playing foreign music, you have to realize that 80% of your content has to be locally generated. We need to promote our own people, promote our own industries, promote our own musicians and artists so that Gambians can know them, work with them, appreciate them, and then also ensure that they create employment in this country. If the creative sector is well managed, is well promoted, it can also be an important part of sourcing employment. So these are some of the things that people need to understand. The government of the Gambia is delivering its cardinal promise to the people through policy, through processes, and yes, people may not know some of these things, but from now on, as we said from the beginning, we want to make this a continuous process. Difficult as it may be to deal with certain issues, we are prepared to face the media, and that is why the next speaker is the Honorable Minister himself, who will talk to you, do a wrap-up. I know he's very eager to come on now, to talk to you about, to do a wrap-up of all the things that have been said here, because being the minister responsible for policy and also to lead on policy coordination and issues, he will, of course, be happy to give you, his take on what he's been doing in terms of coordination, cooperation, and partnership that he is leading at his ministry. Honorable Minister.
To some of the hotels to see the developments and the preparedness of the owners of this hotel towards the tourist season, which have started since 2-3 weeks ago. And good afternoon, Permanent Secretary and Deputy Permanent Secretary, the personal assistant to my office, and of course, senior planner from the Ministry of Tourism, and indeed the Director General of Gambia Tourism Board, and his directors present here, and all other staff working under the boards. I must take this opportunity to commend them once again for a job well done, and they have done a fantastic job. I've been to see some of the things that they've been doing. I am very impressed. Keep up the good job. And indeed, of course, Director Nyang, I thank you and your staff for your commitment, your focus on the set objectives, and as the ministry have designed before, and I can see that you are following, you're going according to plan. And I hope that in the next 2-3 years, the huge challenges ahead with the coming into FTI group requiring 900 trained staff a year, and of course with other plans that we have, the institute will be able to come out with that number. And I think I can assure you that very soon, before the end of next year, the president will be visiting this place, to show you that he is 100% committed to what you are doing and your staff, and he wants to see that this institute become one of the best institute in Africa, although we have been copied, and that's why sometimes I got very irritated. Particular country that came here made a study, learned from us, and I went to a forum. He told me privately and in public he stood to thank another country in Latin America, which irritated me so much. And I felt that people have learned so much from us, and sometimes because of our size, they do not want to admit that they have learned from the Gambia. So keep up the good spirits. We are working with the Kenyan government, and I think that we will soon receive some scholarships very soon that will also help you develop the cadre, the management cadre you're talking about. Because those who were trained in this institute have phased out, they've retired. We need to do a lot more to cooperate with them to help the institute to move forward. Mr. Director, Doyen, Mr. Cisse, our Doyen, the longest serving, and so as I said, he's retired but not tired very soon. We are going to redeploy him in the international services to serve his government in a different capacity, because I think he deserves that. He has done so much for this country. He has served diligently and very responsibly and gone through a very difficult time in the past regime. He has suffered immensely, but he was very strong, resilient, and able to focus himself and not to be distracted with all the threat and insult he received from the highest office. It has never deterred him. So, Mr. Cisse, thank you for keeping the good job and keeping your stand. I am grateful to all of you, members of the press. I would also tell you, welcome, particularly those from TFM, the Voice newspaper, the Standard, the Point newspaper, GRTS, Daily Observer, Kerr, Fatou, and all other online newspapers that are here. I think, to be honest with you, we cannot do without the press. And that's why if you look at our MOU that we signed with Saudi Arabia, the press was highly featured, the media was highly featured there, because we believe that if we can only succeed, we have to cooperate with the media. Without the cooperation with the media, it will be extremely difficult. And that's why when we are going also, we decided that we have to go with GRTS. And going with GRTS makes a great difference for us. Now, the reason, as the Honorable Minister have said, I think as a government, we admitted personally, all of us at every level, that there was a need to do more by informing the people of what we are doing and what we have achieved. And indeed, of course, the NDP spelled out what our programs are. But so far, our achievement within the NDP has not been well articulated. Not because people are not willing to do it, but because we have not coordinated the method, put up the method, the processes in place that will make it happen, so that we can inform people and tell them what we are doing as a government. We become in charge of our own, way of disseminating information by telling the people really what they wouldn't understand from us. And we are fair to admit that it's a weakness. We accepted that. And I think that is bold for somebody to say, I am weak on this and I need to improve on it. So we came to the conclusion the only way to improve it is really by getting every ministry every week with its line departments and so on to be coordinated by the Minister of Information, who is a seasoned journalist. He has worked internationally at every level. And I think, to be honest, we are proud of him. And he knows the digital system. He knows the media. He knows the media law. He knows how to send the message across. He's worked for the BBC, Al Jazeera. He's worked for the many international news agencies in the world. He's a classic journalist of international standard. So for him to be in charge of this process and to be assisted by a very strong personality in the name of Ami Bojang Sisoko, we all know her, very willing, sacrificing 24/7. Sometimes I pity and sympathize with her. Tourism and national heritage is the first son of the king. And he is also the first Arab astronaut to go to the space. And he's a pilot also by profession. He is the first Arab astronaut, highly educated personality, and very committed person who have very special love for Ghana. And they know that they need the expertise of this country. They approach us, we had discussions with them to have an MOU, to have an understanding, to work together. You may see we are small, But when we are outside there, we are on top. I just want to tell you. Yes, this is Gambia in general, not only in tourism. I'm saying that as small as we are a country, when we go outside to perform, we earn the respect. And we earn the respect. And that respect is because we are committed to what we are doing. And some of us know the stuff that we deal with too. And that is very important in anything that we do. So they approached, we've been negotiating this. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, and our staff and the ambassador and his staff have been working on this document to see how best we can, harmonize our, our own side and their own side. And again, you know what is interesting? Within 6 months, anything in this document you can change. In 6 months you can change. Any agreement you want to change, any clause you want. It's very flexible. There is nothing that is difficult about it. Now, we believe that we should engage them. We have Gambian experts who can be of benefits to them. We have people that are trained here because of the 6-month thing. Most of them, after 6 months, they're sitting down and they don't have jobs. When you go to Saudi Arabia, 90% of all the hotel staff are non-Saudi citizens, and all the Arab world, in fact. Some of them are coming from Kenya, some of them are coming from Tanzania, some of them are coming from Morocco, some of them are coming from Egypt, some of them are coming from Tunisia, some Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, Philippines, different parts of the world. And the president asked me one day, where are Gambians here? I said, well, Mr. President, unfortunately, the Gambians who come here, we do not have any contract with Saudi Arabia or any of these countries. Our government did not negotiate anything to help our people to come and get some of these jobs. Then he said, why can't we try and bring our own people to go? Yeah, if these countries can succeed, I believe we can also succeed. Then from there, we believe that engaging the Saudi became more necessary, because here from the highest order somebody is saying, we want our people to come and work here. So we started the process in discussing with them. And we came to the conclusion that we all agreed on the MOU, and that the scheme, the policy of the Saudi government, whatever a minister agreed with another country, the king has to append his signature before the minister himself goes to sign. So we have all agreed, hopefully in the next 2-3 weeks or so, the king does that. It's not going to be a problem, it's all agreed. And then of course, we will sign the document and start operationalizing as soon as possible. So in that, we believe that some of our citizens, under a contractual agreement negotiated by Justice, Labor, under the Office of the President, we would have a document that would install our staff, our Gambian citizens, that would negotiate their pay, that would negotiate their residence, that would negotiate their condition, and of course, then it will be our responsibility to recruit the right people to go and serve in the capacity, in various capacities in Saudi Arabia. So really, for somebody to say that we are selling Gambians to Saudi is out of total ignorance. We are a very responsible government, and we will never compromise the rights and freedom and liberty of our citizens. But what we want to do is to stop the unscrupulous people who are using the back way, taking Gambians, taking them to this Arab world, Arabian world, enslaving them there. Because once we have an official agreement, if you are caught doing that, you'll be dealt with by law. Because now they are doing it. They are faking people, taking them there in very bad condition without even our government knowing. They don't even report to our embassy. Our embassy don't have no idea where these people are kept, being enslaved, and they are collecting their money using their labor. This government wants to put a stop to that. And the only way you could put stop is to make sure that there is a legal framework, a document, an instrument, legal instrument that would guide how Gambians are employed from this country to another country. And the government has to dictate that. And unless we have this agreement, it will be very difficult to stop the illegality of some of the unscrupulous people they are meting on our young citizens who want jobs. So this agreement will definitely address that. And further to that, it will also stop the back way syndrome. You cannot stop back way by mere statement and policy statement. You have to stop back way by practically making sure you create the jobs that these youth want in Europe. If you create the jobs, they will not go and die in back way. So I think really Gambians should appreciate what the Adama Barrow regime and government and administration is doing. We are focused, we will not be distracted. We will not be decided by people who have been administering this country for the last 22 years, and we all know what we have gone through. Some of us here went into exile. They even wanted to kill us with our young babies in rooms. He had a 1-year-old baby in his room. They wanted to kill him inside. And those are the people now who try to narrate and tell us what to do, how to run a government, how many Gambians have disappeared, how many Gambians have lingered and died in jail, how many Gambians today left this country because of bad governance. So that era is over. We are now in those people cannot dictate what we do today. They were rejected by the Gambian people, absolutely rejected. It is our responsibility to defend the mandate of this government and to make sure that we do what is right. We are open, as the minister has said. We have nothing to hide in our policy and program. If you ask us, we'll respond. If you demand, we will be there for you. But I want to urge you, please, the peace, the stability he talked about is important to us. Our important as a country, the guarantee of our sovereignty, Gambia, considering our geographical nature, is only through peace, stability, and a strong economy. In the absence of that, there cannot be any more dictatorship in this country. It will never happen again. Let nobody think that you can take a gun and destroy this government and be president and be anything in this. It's not possible anymore. So what we want is these people to take peace. And then we work together. And let's make sure we develop strong democratic institutions. Support the borough government. At the end of the 5 years, it's free for everybody. And I think that is important for us. You can use your WhatsApp and start insulting somebody, making allegations that are not true. And I think here, the Minister of Information, you need to really do much more to make sure that really we have responsible journalism in this country. As we believe in our press, they have suffered immensely, and they don't want to go back to the past. They really want to maintain the current status quo, develop it, and not to destroy it. So the few who are joined the list, not the journalists, who are joined the list, who don't know what to say, need to be addressed accordingly. And this is a serious matter, because a responsible journalist will always believe in the interests of his country and do what is right. In as much as we disseminate information, the information must be truthful, and you must be honest in the way you do it. That's why we respect the press. But few who are there, they have grudges, they're leveling people left, right, and center, or no genuine, not even one iota of truth. To be honest with you, these are the people that we should call detractors. But those that are genuine, running newspapers, running media houses, respecting the laws, giving up their opinion, writing what they have to write, they are with us, and we will be together. And we hope that we can support them in every aspect so that we can develop. Because the media, you must understand, is the fourth estate of the republic. And that we must respect. And we must be accountable also to the media. We must be responsive to their demands. Because if we don't give them information too, they will go and write other information. So when they demand information from us, we should be able to give it to them. So that they are not. So I think on this note, I want to thank all of you for that matter, for coming to this press briefing. As I said, we are open, we ask questions, we are ready to answer them. Thank you.
I have never been disappointed by Ahmad Bah. I mean, he's just a phenomenal, great speaker. I mean, what at least he has clarified, I think now will help us manage some of the misinformation that is out there. That because what we have been reading all these days is that young Gambians were being carted to the Middle East, particularly Saudi Arabia, to be sold into slave labor. And but what we have had is a coherent, well-organized, well-thought government agenda to have, well-trained young people that are going to be absorbed in well-organized industries, will be monitored, will be progressively followed, and will be tracked, so that at the end of the day, we have a very good deal for our young people. I was one of the very many people in the diaspora in 2015 who actually wrote extensively about the kind of terrible human trafficking that we have seen grew steadily in the Gambia, where unscrupulous people will just prey on unsuspecting poor families in this country take their young children, particularly the women, to Saudi Arabia and then, Lebanon and Kuwait and many other places in the Middle East. And then what happened is always history. I mean, too horrific to narrate some of the experiences of these young people. Now, as a responsible government, we have gone through the proper channel, negotiated with a responsible minister, discussed the issues and the terms, and we have agreed that in case people are going to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia or any other country within the Middle East, it will be done officially. We will deal with all these unscrupulous people, and any Gambian parent who has a child, undergoing this type of experience in any of these Middle Eastern countries, do contact the government through my ministry. We will follow it up. We will work with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to follow up on the countries where they are. And then, we will prosecute these people here, we'll arrest them, we'll prosecute them, and then whatever damage they have done to our people, they will pay heavily for it. I think as a government, we are going to send that strong signal. This is not a weak government. To think that, we are quiet over certain things does not necessarily mean that we are weak. We follow the due process. We are committed to democracy. We are committed to the due process. And anybody who thinks that you can prey on innocent people in this country by doing these type of things, we will prosecute you, we will jail you, and then we will deal with you according to the laws of this country. And you will be historically tracked as somebody who is involved in horrific human trafficking. Your name will be all over, across borders, so that wherever you go, you will be checked. A background check will be done on you. Then they will contact us. If they see you with anybody, if they see you with any travel document that is not yours, you will be arrested and sent back to this country and you'll be prosecuted. This is international standard, and we are prepared to do that. So those people who are engaged in this horrific crime, they should be prepared to deal with the long arm of the law. We also want to make it clear that anybody who wants factual information, contact government, contact me. There is nobody in this country who can say that you have ever called me, even if I'm in a serious meeting and I could not pick up your call, I never return your call. That has never happened. Those who are on WhatsApp, those who are on Facebook, a messenger, nobody can say that you have ever sent me a message and I did not reply to your message. There is no media house in this country, or even those, social media platforms, who can say that they've invited me to their platform and I run away from it. We are not afraid to face our critics. This is an open government. We are running a democratic state. Anything that is happening in this country is open. I don't know why people think that they can go and misinform people and believe that they will have credibility. To insult, for me, I'm not bothered who goes out and insult me. I'm not bothered about it. It doesn't give me a second of a sleepless night. But for God's sake, if you are in doubt, contact the right people. We are here to clarify to you. That is why we are here. We are all paid from taxpayers' money, and we are prepared to continue to be accountable to them. At the end of the day, it's our credibility that is on the line. But to go around and make these scandalous statements about people, innocent people, just because they are in government, it is unacceptable. You have a duty of responsibility to not only be credible, but to give information in good faith. If you continue to do that, you will find in us credible government and government officials that are prepared to work with you. At the end of the day, we are here for you people. And I want to call on the rest of the ministers within the government to continue to exhibit this openness. This is the first step that we have done, and we will continue to engage. All the ministries, every week a minister will have to come, and then the press will be here. You ask us about anything related to our ministries, and then we will be prepared to give you the necessary information, the data, and all the answers that you require. This is how democratic governments are run. And some of us who have been away in several countries, we have seen, any country that commits itself to openness is always a recipe for progress. And we want to be counted among the League of Nations that are open, that are progressive, that are there for everyone to excel. And this is what we want to do. So on behalf of the Honorable Minister and his staff, I want now to open the floor to the journalists to ask questions. Now it's 5 o'clock now, Gambia time. I'm sure some of you are streaming this live. We'll be happy if you can be direct with the questions so that we can answer them as quickly as possible.
So we like to ask you
yeah, if you want to ask in local languages also, we are ready.
Alhamdulillah, bi ñu demee wari tey gis nañ ne gouvernement Gambie dafa dëgëral ne hôtel yi dañu war a am qualité. Hôtel yi war a nekk ci surtout ci biir wetu géej gi maanaam yi nga xam ne ñu ngi dëkkee ci biir Banjul fii hôtel yi dañu war a nekk 3 étoiles jëm kaw naka 4 étoiles jëm kaw donc yi nga xam ne ñu ngi nekkoon ay 2 étoiles 3 étoiles seeni borom gis nga ne ñu ngi yokk jël di sensé waat bagage yi pour mën a accorder seen bopp ak direction bi gouvernement bi doxalee mbiri hôtel yi jamono ji loolu nag sax naaj satisfaction bu baax parce que gis naa ne chambre yi hôtel yi daal seen garab bi mu ngi jëm kaw parce que loolu lu am solo la ndax ñiy fay seen xaalis dañuy bëgg a ñëw fay am loo xam ne moom méngoo seen i xaalis bi ñu fay li ñuy woowee value for money loolu dafa nekk loo xam ne lu xew la ci industrie bi ci àdduna bi ba pare tam fi mu ne nit ñi dañuy bugg di fay tuuti bugg a am lu bari donc dañuy mën seen xaalis dañuy calcul yu bëree bëri fi mu ne bu ñuy fere bon buñ ñëwee li ñu expect mooy buñ séentoo benn nga jox leen ñaar ñu gën a kontaan donc loolu gis naa ko am naa satisfaction bu baax donc deuxièmement bi mooy affaire u Gambien si participation bi ci système tourisme bi loolu dafa am histoire tuuti bu ci am depuis 1950 quelque bi ñu commencé tourisme en Gambie tubaab yi ñoo ko yoroon scandinavien si surtout boo seetloo tey hôtel bi ñu jëm Bakottu ñi ko tabaxoon dañ fi ñëwoon ñu ooyal GNC dañ daan tabax ay néeg Kairaba Avenue fii ñun leen tabax ay néeg jógee Scandinavia bi ñu jeexalee tabax ay néeg ku ñu dogal la suuf nga tabax hôtel mooy Big Stick Benzine Lala Carls Bangre moom moo tabax bii di hôtel Lala moom moo tabax Bakottu Stick Benzine moom moo tabax Kotu Strand donc ñooñu nekkoon waa Scandinavie waa Scandinavie di ñëw ñoom dañ doon tabax fi ay kër far ñu jox leen fi terrain ñu tabax fi ay hôtel bi moom ko loolu taxoon na booba jamono Gambie yi participé pour ñu bari waaye ñu dem ba ci kanam nag ci booru ay 82 yooyu Gambie yi mel ni Bassirou Diawara ñoom Kallaaji Touré ñeneen jënd ay Fajara hôtel jënd ay Watna Beach hôtel jënd Kotu Strand hôtel yooyu ñu développé def ci investissement bu mag a mag a mag ñu see liggéey dem nag ba jamono suxali nguur gi fi nekkoon ñu bari si ñoom Gambie yi dañu amoon découragé parce que ni nguur gi doon doxalee ak système bu mu doon doxalee dañu si xawoon a teel fekk na nag tubaab bi am na ñu def investment Kairaba hôtel atam bi ñuy def 90 CEDEAO sommet bi lañ ko ubbi woon Sénégambia moom yéen nekkoon na fi depuis booba jamono moom it yàggul ubbi noonu parce que ay 82 yooyu ci la ubbi moom it donc hôtel yi di màgg noonu tubaab bi Scandinavie benn ñëw yàggul nag ñun ñu jël affaire bi ñun tam ren bi ñu jëlee état bi nguur gi daaw ñi demandé yëpp 82% bi yëpp Gambien hôtel yi ñu war a tabax yu bees yëpp 90% bi yëpp Gambien donc nit ñi ragal moo leen teroon a dugal te tey gis nga ne tey gis nga ay directeurs yu bëri ay Gambien ñu ngi defar seen hôtel yu bees te loolu moo wane ne ñoom am nañ confiance seen gouvernement bu bees bi loolu nit ñi firnde la 82% ñi demandé hôtel yu bees yëpp Gambien te am nañ xaalisam parce que man dama jaaxle woon sax fi xaalis bi yëpp nekk mais ndekete ñoom am nañ xaalis bi ragaloon nguur gi fi ne woon moo taxoon ñu téye seen loxo donc gouvernement bi dafa wàññil gars yi sax parce que dañ doon laajte 10% déposé boo xam ne duñ la ko delloo caution bi mais président dafa gis ne sax pour ñu gën a dimbali Gambien yi pour ñu mën a participer daf ko wàññi def ko dafa ñaan cabinet ñu wàññi def ko 5% bi pour Gambien yi gën a mën a part donc loolu yëpp mu ngi koy def pour citoyens yi mun a Gambien yi ak yeneen waa CEDEAO yi waa CEDEAO Nigéria tam dugal nañ fi xaalis ci depuis 1900 2002 dugal nañ fi xaalis bu bari ñoom itam dugal ci fànn hôtel même Sénégal donc ñu ngi gën a ubbeeku ci fànn yooyu woo leen pour ñu ñëw ndax Gambie moom Gambie pour ñëpp te accord bi ñu signé ak Sénégal fi mu ne mu ngi développé ci lu bari dégg nga ci li ci domaine bi ci gars yi wax te ñu ngi suma permanent secretary bind na ministre bu Sénégal pour ñu commencer discussion boobu encore développement ay programme yoo xam ne diggante Sénégal ak Gambie lay mën a doon développer tourisme bi diggante Gambie ndax dañ bëgg a dugg marché chinois yi te marché chinois yi Gambie am nañ knowledge mais amuñ xaalis bi mais Sénégal am nañ xaalis bi donc bu ñu defee synergie dinañ mën a indi chinois xam nga chinois ñoom bu ñu def benn réew bu ñuy dem vacances ñaari réew la ñuy dem donc mun na ñëw Gambie ñëw Sénégal ñëw fi vacances donc ñu ngi ministère bi bind na Sénégal pour ñu jàppalanteeg Sénégal liggéey ak ñoom pour mën a màggal tourisme bi mu nekk njëriñu Sénégal bi yëpp.
I am Jai Bande, the Point newspaper.
Okay.
Yes. Preparing the signing of the MOU between Gambia and Senegal. And we have seen a lot of MOU have been signed here and there. But at the end of the day, they are not very much effective. So how sustainable is this going to be? And the other question is, Honorable Minister, the tourist season has already started. And I think this is part of your ministry's policies to visit all tourism facilities in this country. You see, so what I'm seeing now is the tour is just within the Greater Banjul area. Are you ready to visit up countries as well?
I will tell you, Nella, we are doing what it takes. Sorry. We are going to visit every part of the Gambia. Agreement with Senegal, this government is committed. It's a government that stands by its principle, by its utterances, and I can assure you everything agreed with Senegal will be fully implemented.
I work for Kerr. My question is, the Director General of Tourism Board has mentioned the capacity of tourists that we'll be expecting and the number of flights that comes in the Gambia. And during the tour, we've seen that a lot of hotels have already been fully booked. So I want to ask a question on more of the tourists that will be coming. How will the accommodation be like? And if they come, how will that boost the economy of the country?
Very much, Madam from Kerr. This is one of the biggest challenges we have at the destination. It's called stop sales. You see, the season has just barely started, and all the good hotels have now begun to do what we call stop sales. That's more the reason why we are now working very, very hard to establish more quality hotels that will provide more beds to the industry. In the next year or two, we'll really have a stop sale in the industry. Is it true? It's happened, but it's as a result of the lack of good quality hotel bed. But this, the genesis is quite a history, but we have overcome the challenge. And inshallah, very soon, we will not talk about stop sales anymore. And that is also by indication that the Gambia is a much loved destination. People want to come, and we don't want to stop them coming for merely lack of a hotel bed.
Okay.
Inshallah, it will happen.
Right.
I am Tabora Boyan from the Standard newspaper. And, I have two questions. The other question is this deal that is about to be signed, this MOU. You know, has the ministry conducted any analysis or any study at other countries to ensure that some of these citizens or some of those nationals who are in Saudi working there as domestic workers, some of the problems or some of the downfalls or some of the issues that they face, you know, have you put that into consideration? And you know, knowing that this is a country, you know, whose human rights, you know, has been, you know, tainted internationally, you know, with the recent killing of a journalist, you know, in Saudi, you know, in Turkey. So, have you put that into consideration? And secondly, the other question is on tourism. You know, many observers said, you know, the government's policy on tourism right now is to ensure that there is a level ground for investors to go and invest, but the government is not doing steps, they are not taking steps internally and proactively to ensure that, you know, domestically, you know, still tourism enterprises domestically are enhanced or are supported, and to ensure that monies that are generated in tourism stays in the country instead of going out.
Just to make it very clear, this government have done extensive research, and we are convinced that we are right, and what we are doing, we will protect, preserve the interests of our citizens. Be rest assured of that, we've done that job, and we are very confident of it. Secondly, in terms of helping local entrepreneurs, I can assure you that the Gambia Tourism and the Ministry of Tourism have been doing a lot to support local enterprise and help them really improve on it. And the result of that is the coming into this market of FTI group. Today, those who are complaining about FTI are all benefiting from FTI. No more talk about FTI. Because that's what life. When you are starting something, people start making noise. Yeah. But those who are making noise here and there today, they are all working and start clapping for FTI. So that's Adam Barrow's government. When they start something, people will criticize. But when they start seeing the benefits, nobody talks about. And that's why we are always focused and committed to that.
So really, we are supporting them, giving them all the support. But again, the laws also must be respected.
My name is Usman Mane from Yes. Yes, of recent we have seen industrial revolt coming from the industrial area.
I'm not hearing you.
We have seen that revolt coming from the industrial area. Yeah, the tourism area.
What? People protesting?
People protesting against their employers. And we know over the years, employment issues in the tourism industry is not encouraging in terms of remuneration and appointment letters. As a ministry, what are you doing to avoid such situation occurring since we are going on a year-round tourism?
Let us jump to the young man from Standard. We are going for highly skilled workers. We are not looking for mates to go to Saudi Arabia. This ministry and Gambia government for now, their preoccupation is to see those skilled workers who are not employed, avoid them going back, we're dying at sea, helping them to go and list 3-year contract, you come back, somebody else go, and then develop and we move forward. We want to exchange business. If you look at the memorandum, you see the exchange business and exchange program that are mentioned in it. That's the type of participation we want to do. You understand? And let me tell the gentleman there, the gentleman who asked about the question of labor matters. This Ministry of Tourism is not responsible of labor matters. That is not our domain. Government has different responsibilities. That question should go to the Minister of Labor. When he comes here, the Minister of Labor, Trade and Labor, not so. When he comes here, you can ask him that question. The issue of labor is nothing to do with Ministry of Tourism. We only create the jobs. Somebody is responsible of managing those jobs. So that question is directed to the Ministry of Labor.
Tourism and the development of the creative sector in this country. Between tourism and also peace and security in this country. Between tourism and also agricultural development in this country. So, and between tourism and media, and also, media talent, talent creation in media. So distinguished friends in the media, I want to urge you, continue to look for the information from the right people, from the right sources, so that you can relay this information to the greater audience. Those who want to continue to be misled will continue to rely on secondary information and those platforms that are not prepared to give out the right information. We are here for you, and we will continue to collaborate with you to ensure that people are informed, and not only informed, but they make informed choices from the information that is given on here, that they are getting. Thank you so much, and Honorable Vice.